And I'm back, part two. So last video was talking about um, where we messed up in this race struggle. Let me say this real quick. That there is a race war going on. You know, in conscious communities, there's always conversation talking about the race war. And the race war is not sometime in the future, right? It's not necessarily going to be fought in the streets like people think it is. The race war is going on right now. The race war had started, centuries ago, but it's coming to a head now. And because we are no longer in the position of disadvantage that we had been in for hundreds of years, the problem on our side is that we are not at as much a disadvantage as we think we are. We actually have everything we need to turn this whole race situation in America around in one generation. You know, we asked for slavery to end. We got that. We asked for Jim Crow to end. We got that. We asked for jobs. We got that. We asked for equal access to education, to be able to drink at water fountains. Fuck, we got that. We asked for a black president. We got that. 52 years? Yeah, 52 years after we gave up Dr. King, we're still asking these motherfuckers for shit. Do you understand where I'm going with this? Oh yeah, I started at that last video by saying I was going to piss some of y'all off. I'm going to piss y'all off with this thing right now. The reason why the black man is still at a disadvantage, because the other side of the equation from white superiority, the other side of white superiority, the partner, is black inferiority. Too many of us believe we are inferior. We really believe. I mean, every time I talk about going around going around the world, relocating, there's always this big section, and they're not always uneducated. Very often, they're extremely educated black folks. They are successful. Okay, these are not dumb people, but so many black folks jump. They can't imagine life away from America. They really believe America is our best option. As if the world has nothing to offer except countries where white men live. You gotta think about that. White superiority would not work if black folks were not inferior. And this is gonna piss people off. Too many of us are inferior. Too many of us are inferior. And we have to address this. Majority of the time, matter of fact, let me I don't want to go down that road. Let me start with this. I've been writing in my journal back there a passage for a book that I'm writing on natural selection. Black people have to practice natural selection. In Darwin's writings, he talks about how species have to get stronger in order to survive, because if species do not get stronger, then other species will put them out of existence. If I take an island that's populated with birds, populated with deer, populated with rabbits, populated with rodents, and I drop 4 tigers or jaguars on that island, in 50 years, everybody will be dead. All life will die. Why? Because those 2 or those 4 predatory animals will reproduce. They will eat all the other animals on the island until there are none left. And when there are no animals left, then the carnivores will eventually turn on each other, and then they will die off. If you ever wondered what happened to some of the great civilizations of the past, what happened to the Persians? What happened to the ancient Greeks? What happened to the Egyptians, the ancient Egyptians? What happened to the Nubians? What happened to the Mongols? Um, what did some of the Ottomans and these other groups of people? What happened to those cultures? Those cultures died out. And if you know anything about history, that history is basically a long story of conflict. One nation conflicting with another, one group of people in conflict with another. Very often they absorb those people into their tribes, right? My tribe will eliminate that tribe mostly by killing the men and taking the girls and taking the women into my tribe, and they and our offspring become members of my tribe. All through history, you see civilizations grow and civilizations shrink. You see new civilizations pop up sometimes where one group of people will merge with another group of people and create a superpower. You will see civilizations disappear. The Mongols, for example, disappear. They still exist, but they're just a nomadic tribe of herdsmen. Where at one time the entire recorded world feared them. What happened? They got defeated. I think I don't remember exactly the story. Genghis Khan was on his way to Europe, or was going through Europe, and I think maybe his brother died or something like that, and he went back, and then he died, and then his offsprings fought amongst each other, and the Mongolian dynasty disappeared within 1 or 2 generations. Just like that island I told you about, that people will eventually turn on each other, and then they'll disappear. Um, and then, of course, the Romans. Where are the Romans? The descendants of Romans are now Italian, they're Spaniard, they're Portuguese, they're Iranian. The people in history have always had conflict with each other. And just as I said in the last video, it didn't. I think that might have been a video I recorded on the roof. I can't remember. But if several groups of people are constantly at war, they become better at war. And they will either snuff out each other, or, as we've seen with Europe, they will work alongside each other, even competing with each other, to conquer other peoples. When it comes to this race war, black folks are not participating in a race war. We are participating as passive, as passive participants in the race war, and you're not going to win that way. That's like the Vietnamese. If the Vietnamese had taken the black man's, philosophy towards defending their homeland, there would be no Vietnam right now. We would be calling that country New France or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Because you cannot be nonviolent with a people who is violent with you. Say it again, black folks. You cannot be nonviolent with a people who is violent with you. You cannot ask them to stop. It won't. These are an aggressive people. It's like I'm teaching a self-defense course to teach people how to survive street survival, and I'm telling them to pray that when the muggers come, pray and ask them to leave you alone. That don't work. And the reason why 52 years later, after we've lost our Dr. King, you are still begging. You can call it demand all you want. You ain't wrecking shit. You know what I'm saying? When riots do break out and property is destroyed and people are hurt, it's the first thing black folks do. That ain't us. The cops are doing it, and white folks is coming in and doing it. No, nigga, that's not how you make shit happen. You tell them you goddamn right we rioted. If you don't change this shit, then the next thing we're coming for is your fucking mayor. That's how you get shit done. I'm sorry. And it also means that some of us will die doing it. Okay? But the thing is, this is a war. You have to think like a soldier. And unfortunately, we're not. And that is why I say we are inferior. That we know we are militarily outgunned. We lack the finances, even though we really don't lack the finances. Right? We really believe that we can't win this war. And so we're approaching it like weak men. And weak men will always be conquered by strong men. Now, weak men doesn't mean being weaker militarily and economically doesn't mean that we can't win this. The Jew don't have a weapon. The Chinese don't have weapons. The Vietnamese don't have weapons. Koreans don't have weapons. Why is it that you don't hear those people picketing on the streets to be treated fairly? The reason why is because they understand that weak men will always serve strong men, but strong men will always serve smart men. We have to find our place of superiority over our enemies. We have to look for places that we are superior and maybe places where we can become superior. And we have to put that to work for us. Because it's already obvious black folks is not going to take guns and go in the street. God damn it, y'all won't even take guns in these fucking protests where you know white boys are going to show up with AR-15s. There's enough black guns in the hood that we can stop those motherfuckers from coming to our protests. But, like I said, as an inferior people, we'd rather use those guns on each other. We use those guns on each other, and then the ones who won't hurt another black man are too chicken shit to go get a gun and bring it to a protest. We have to change everything about how we do. We have to think like a superior people. Now, I gotta say this because I know some of y'all are gonna get panties all up in a bunch. We are not genetically inferior to white folks. We are strategically inferior to white folks. We will call each other Uncle Toms if we disagree on something. I saw a video clip where Candace Owens and T.I. were getting into it at some symposium. And Candace, 100% of what Candace said was true. Black folks, instead of finding solidarity with Candace, instead of acknowledging the truth that she spoke. Now, even T.I. said, hey, that was some real shit you just said. Killer Mike said it. That was some real shit you just said. In the comments, so many black folks like, fuck that bitch, blah, blah. Okay, yes, we don't agree with her philosophy. However, there are some things we do agree with. The problem with us is that we find more reasons to not work with each other, where you could take a Jew, a skinhead who don't even like Jews, a patriotic, Confederate flag loving, blue blood American who don't like Jews or communists, and all three of those, and then of course the elite white folks who will never put a Confederate flag in their car, will never put a Nazi symbol or give the salute, who aren't even feeling Jews, but the four of these motherfuckers will work together against your black ass. They don't have to like each other to work for the same cause. Niggas? Oh. If I'm Muslim and he's Christian, we won't even work together. Right? And we even do stupid shit like, I mean, I know I do it on social media, but team light skin, team dark skin. You know what I mean? That kind of shit. Okay, as a joke, that's one. But honestly, there are a lot of brothers who don't like light-skinned brothers. You know, see, a lot of women don't like light-skinned black women. There are, we have more reasons to not work together, and we have to be a strategically superior people. 15 minutes, okay, we got enough time. So I'm gonna leave that to the side. I didn't make a script. I told myself I was gonna make a script, start following it, but I want to talk about one more thing before we go. Talking about natural selection. Black folks have to we have to practice natural selection. When I choose a mate, I have to choose a mate who is um, genetically superior, who is socially superior, so that those qualities and attributes will manifest in my children. Too often we don't, and I know, I'm telling you, I didn't do it either. Okay, one thing I did do was I chose two educated, beautiful women to have children with. So, but that's as far as I went. And matter of fact, they were both politically conscious, so we had that in common. But I didn't dig deeper when it came to my kids as mothers. You know what I'm saying? And I'm suggesting to you guys that you do the same. That when you choose a mate, you have to choose a mate who has the qualities that, one, that you want your children to have, right? Not just physical qualities. I chose tall women, so my kids are tall. But, you know, not talking about beauty or anything like that. I'm talking about women who come from good backgrounds. You know, when you have children with a woman or with a man, you have to think about the family. You know, a lot of times say, well, I don't marry the family. Nigga, yes, you do. Let me tell you something. When your children grow up, they will befriend their cousins. They will be going to auntie's house, uncle's house, grandma's house. And when they do go with those relatives, what goes on in those households, what goes on in those families will rub off on your children. Like it or not, that's just the way it is. The only way it's not is to move away. Let me tell you what I did. I fucked up. I left Washington, D.C., where I had a strong base of black family members, and I came to California where I had no family. I brought my 13-year-old brother with me, and then my sister, who's 10 years younger than me, followed. But both of them, my brother, after he graduated from college, moved to the Bay Area, and my sister stayed in the Bay Area. My kids grew up only knowing family members if they came to visit or through social media. But they were socialized into their mother's families. Oh, I'm sorry, mother's family. Baby boy, I'm not going to talk about his mother's family is cool. My big kids' mother's family, they're fucked up. Period. They're just fucked up. And all that confusion went into my kids. You know, my kids' mom had 3 siblings, and only one of those siblings liked me. And he was probably the only rational voice in that whole family. You know, especially when it comes to me, right? Their uncle, Charles, he would repeat things that I taught them. You know, we both, he's NOI, so we have a lot of the same background, same beliefs, same habits. And so he reinforced my lessons. But their grandparents, the 2 sisters, and Lord knows who else they come in contact with, dogged out everything about me. And so my kids grew up with confusion. And if I had understood natural selection, I would not have married her. Damn sure would not have had kids with her. Okay, and as a result, my kids now, they alternate between, okay, Dad, I'm gonna go with your plan. This is how we're gonna do things. With Dad, that's ridiculous. I should be able to enjoy my money and blah 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 blah. Why should I live like I'm in America now? You see what I'm saying? And the thing is, most of you, I'm sure, I don't even know y'all, but most of you made the same mistake I did. Maybe chose a mate because of how they made you feel, because of how they look, and you didn't think too much about the family that you were creating children to plop them in front of. You know what I'm saying? And as a result, your kids suffer. And so, um, uh, we have to consider that when choosing a mate. Now, here's another thing. This is mostly for the ladies. When you choose a man to have children with, you're also choosing a lifestyle, because this dude isn't just giving you dick and giving you his DNA. This is the man who's going to determine what type of lifestyle you're going to have. He's going to determine what kind of environment your children may be raised in. When you choose a guy who does not handle business, when you choose a guy who's going to, even if y'all break up, if he's going to break up with you and not pay you no money, or just give you the minimum, maybe not spend time with his kids or not teach his children anything, you are you're setting your children up for failure. Because choice of a man, and I know, and see, this is the thing, another thing too. That's why I said educated black folks be getting on my nerves. Educated black women love to say, well, I got an education, I'm not relying on no man, blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what? This is the reason why your kids don't have everything they need. They need more than mama to have a nice car and a nice place and go on vacation, go to Jamaica and Africa and, the Bahamas every year. They need more than that. They need a father in the household. They need that male energy. Okay? They need to see mom having a healthy love relationship, a healthy bond with a mate. They have to have that. And all this independent talk you're spitting, that shit sounds good, but it ain't good for your kids. Your kids are growing up normalizing single parenthood. Unless you are just opposed to marriage, you just do not believe in the institution of marriage, and I have shit to say about that, but I'm not going to get into it on this video. Then you can't expect your kids to be responsible parents and create families when you yourself didn't respect the institution enough to create one for them. Okay? And I believe that most of this talk about I'm happy to be alone, blah, 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 is really people just convincing themselves that they're happy so that they don't have to deal with the mistake that they made, the poor choice in a mate, or the poor relationship choices, you know what I mean? Not committing strongly enough to the relationship and not fighting for it and things like that. This talk is just something to make yourself feel good. This talk is so that you can justify being a single parent, that you can justify telling your kids you don't need no man. You understand what I'm saying? And when you do that, you almost guarantee that your children, your grandchildren, are going to grow up in a broken home. So we have to, matter of fact, here's another thing. When you choose a mate, you're also giving your kids either dual incomes, right? So on one hand, you have people say, well, 2 incomes will give the kids, at least keep the kids out of poverty, right? That's one. The other one is that you could also be choosing to give your children a more complete family unit with both mother energy and father energy, male energy and female energy, right? They now have 2 people that they can confide in. They now have 2 people putting ideas together about how we can raise these children to be more successful, instead of one person trying to figure it out. And when mom is worried about finances and job and career, 50% or more of her attention is not going towards the children. I don't give a fuck what you say. You cannot put 100% of your energy into a job and 100% of your energy into your children. It's impossible. It's mathematically impossible. It doesn't make sense. The shit just sounds good. Oh yeah, my kids got 100%. No, they don't. They don't. Motherfucker, you're not even home 40 hours out of the week. You add in drive time, back and forth to work, you ain't home 50 hours a week. but you say you're giving your kids 100%. You see what I'm saying? So, and I tell you what, that makes a big difference in what's going on with our children. Because kids who do not have both parents in the house are more likely to fuck up. They're less likely to do their homework. They're less likely to study. They're more likely to spend time on the streets or on the internet, doing things without adult supervision when they should have adult supervision because they're children, including teenagers, because as they get older, they need more, because now teenagers are looking for mentors. And teenagers, if they don't get that mentor in mom and dad, they're going to get that mentor in the form of other teenagers or, heaven forbid, other adults on the street. This is why your daughter is fucking the damn gym teacher or a friend's parent. This is why your son is out there hanging around some ex-con who's teaching your son the game. Getting your son, convincing your son that this is how life is supposed to go. Or if it's not a mentor, this is where your kids end up forming ideas that are poorly formed, poorly thought out ideas that are not realistic or counterproductive towards their lives, and they have nobody to discuss it with because you're at work. And I'm on Facebook with a lot of you motherfuckers. So what happens is you guys are coming home from work and you hop on your ass on social media. While you're arguing with me on Facebook, you're not giving attention to your kids. Okay? So natural selection is that in choosing a mate selection, you are predetermining what the next generation will be like. You are either setting your children up, your future children up for success or for failure. You're setting them up for prosperity or struggle. And black folks, we need to practice that. We must practice that. We have to stop normalizing single parenting. We have to stop normalizing, what would we call that? Promiscuity. I would probably say more male promiscuity than females. I don't think females are really doing as much as we are, right? Dude's just going around trying to get his dick wet, increases the chances of, one, he's creating children outside his family unit. He is also traumatizing his woman, right? Because when a woman gets cheated on, she ain't the same no more. You're traumatizing your kid, your kids. Your kids are seeing that shit. You're also generating bad karma for yourself and your kids. I've seen dudes dog women out, man, for 30 years. Dog women out for 30 years and then watch your grown daughters grow up to become dogged out by other men. That's motherfucking karma. Okay? And so now, when it comes back to the black struggle, that we must ensure the future of our people and we must ensure the existence of our people and create a future for black children. 14 words for black folks. We have to live by that. Everything we do, every decision we make, every program we support, every plan we put together must be with those 14 words in our minds, that we are doing this for the black community and we're doing this for our children. You know, and it starts with selecting a good mate. Anyway, subscribe to this channel because we're gonna be talking about this more often. Tonight I'm gonna write up a script, so tomorrow I'll have a better, more cohesive message for you guys rather than just me jumping around like we did it. And then 29 minutes. Okay, so you guys have a good one. I'll talk to you later. Peace.